Watch it, Franklin. You would be something much worse. Our brain is designed to experience anxiety in short bursts. It's why you feel as though a lion were on the verge of devouring you. You have to convince yourself the lion is not in the room. This, I assure you, you will know.
I'm a special
I hate to
agent.
be discourteous, but this is a private exit for my patient.
I'm Special Agent Jack Crawford, FBI. May I come in?
You may wait in the waiting room. This is about him. Please, come in. May I ask how this is all about me?
You can ask, but I may have to ask you a few questions first.
Another patient?
We're all alone.
Oh, good.
Followed her heart to the United Kingdom. Sad to see her go.
Are these yours, Doctor?
Among the first.
Details incredible.
Learned very early.
Johns Hopkins.
I'm beginning to suspect you're investigating me, Agent Crawford.
No. In the psychology department, Georgetown.
Most psychology departments are filled with personality.
And see at Johns Hopkins.
I learned as much from her as she did from me.
Evolutionary origins of social exclusion?
Yes.
Very interesting.
A layman.
Yeah.
So many learned fellows going about in the halls of behavioral science.
12 dozen last time I checked. None of them had any details. Until this morning. Genius in Duluth PD took a photograph of Elise Nichols' body.
No mine. No effective back. Not fond of eye contact, are you?
So, yeah.
Yes.
Your values and decency are present, yet shocked at your associations. No thoughts in the bone arena of your skull for things you love.
Whose profile is he working on?
I know of any more than you can shut yourself.
Please, don't psychoanalyze me. I have to go give a lecture on psychoanalyzing.
Maybe we shouldn't poke him like that.
Empathy. You can assume your point of view, or mine, and maybe some other points of view that scare. Perception's a tool that's pointed on both ends. This cannibal, you have him getting to know. The adventure will be yours and mine today. May I come in? I'm very careful about what I put into my body, which means I end up preparing most meals myself. Some eggs, some sausage.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I would apologize for my analytical ambush, and you'll tire of that eventually, so I have to consider using apologies sparingly. Or we could socialize like adults. God forbid we become friendly. You will. The devil is in the details. What didn't your copycat do to the girl in the field? What gave it away? The mathematics of human behavior. All those ugly variables. Are you reconstructing his fantasies? Ever have any problems, Will? You and I are just alike. Problem-free. Nothing about us. You know, Will? I think Uncle Jack sees you as a fragile little teacup. The mongoose I went under the house when the snakes slithered by. Finish your breakfast. Peeking behind the curtain. Must be hundreds of construction sites all over Minnesota.
Certain kind of metals.
What are we looking for?
At this stage, anything really, but mostly
Putting papers in file boxes. Yes, they are taking things. No. Well, they didn't say. Yes, he's one of our pipe threaders. Those are all the resignation letters.
She'd have auburn hair about this tall.
Maybe.
Hobbs, you find so peculiar.
Left a phone number, no address. Says he also missed work for days at a time.
I got it.
You don't know me, and I suspect we'll never meet. This is a courtesy call. Listen very carefully. Are you listening? They know. More or less sane. Well done. Weary head to rest knowing he didn't break you, and our conversation can proceed unobstructed by paperwork. What you need is a way out of dark places when Jack sends you there.
Last time.
A surrogate daughter? You saved Abigail Hobbs's life. You also orphaned her. It comes with certain emotional obligations regardless of empathy. Yes. I feel a staggering amount of obligation. I feel responsibility. I fantasized about scenarios where my actions may have allowed a different fate for Abigail Hobbs. How does that make you feel? I find it vulgar.
Me too.
And entirely possible. Oh, he'll have one of us ask her. It's whatever you need it to be. The mirrors in your mind can reflect the best of yourself. What did you see? Out in the field? Did you tell Jack what you saw? It's stress, not worth reporting. Arguably be considered your victim. What do you consider him? Is it harder imagining the thrill somebody else feels killing, now that you've done it yourself? The arms.
Practical.
He was cultivating them.
He was keeping them alive. He was...
The structure of a fungus mirrors that of the human brain, an intricate web of connections.
The way human minds can't.
Yours can.
Yeah.
Is that what your farmer is looking for? Some sort of connection? Miss Kimball?
Yes.
Good evening. Please come in.
I've never seen a psychiatrist before. So, you're one of 3 doctors I'm interviewing.
I'm very supportive of bake-offs. It's important you find someone you're comfortable with.
If I can't visualize opening up emotionally, I know it would be a problem.
May I ask why now?
Since that's why I'm here, I was wondering...
Are you Freddie Lawrence? This is unethical, even for a tabloid journalist.
I'm so embarrassed.
You're back. I'd rather not take it from you. Our conversation, yours and mine. You were very persistent about your appointment time. You didn't answer the question. How did you know? Delete the conversations you recorded. Doctor-patient confidentiality works both ways. What's to be done about that? Pork.
Wonderful. My wife and I both work. And as hard as I tried not to.
Your mother didn't cook.
She did. She did. Spaghetti, soy sauce, bouillon cubes, and Spam.
I'd love to have you both for dinner.
Thank you. Lovely. So, why do you think...
I'm sure he recognizes the necessity of his own support structure. You're not accustomed to broken ponies in your stable. Do you think Will is a broken pony because you don't trust him or because you're afraid of losing another pony? Not by me. You've already told me about your mother. Why stop there? You are naughty, Miss Lowndes. Giving voice to the unmentionable.
Should have stuck to fixing boat motors in Louisiana.
I am. Did you really feel so bad because killing him felt so good? Killing must feel good to God, too. He does it all the time. And are we not created in his image? He dropped a church roof on 34 of his worshippers last Wednesday night in Texas while they sang a hymn. He felt powerful.
Abigail Hobbs may be the only person who knows the truth.
You can't ask her right now, Jack. We have to create a safe place for her.
I think it's a possibility that needs to be ruled out.
How was she when you saw her?
Withheld information to gain information. She demonstrated only enough emotions to...
It'd be more than trauma, yet you question her involvement in the murders her father committed.
Garrett Jacob Hobbs, he is better than that. He is an intelligent psychopath. He is a sadist. He will never kill like this again.
Giving a lecture on Hobbs' copycat.
Well, we need every good mind we can get on this.
This copycat is an... How intimately did he know Garrett Jacob Hobbs? Did he appreciate him? Did he ingratiate himself into Hobbs's life? Did Hobbs know his copycat as he was known? Unidentified caller. Do you excuse us, please?
I really must insist you leave the room.
If you want to talk.
Abigail, this is Dr. Lecter. Do you remember us?
Why don't we have a walk?
Sorry we couldn't save your mother.
He was loving right up until the second he wasn't. He kept telling me he was sorry, to just hold still.
We'll help you with the nightmares.
There's no such thing as...
Freddie Lowndes,
trying to salvage this joke from the mouth of madness.
please let me apologize for my behavior in there. And hurtful.
Miss Lowndes, now is not the time.
You help Abigail see me as more than her father's killer, and I help you with online...
And you let those words come out of his mouth.
I trust Will to speak for himself.
Evidently, you shouldn't.
I'm just happy.
You said she was practical.
That could just mean she has a dissociative disorder.
You take her home, she may experience intense emotions, respond aggressively, or...
Dr. Bloom is right. The scenario where revisiting the trauma event could help Abigail heal.
We have no way... I have to say so and we'll go.
Go where?
For now?
And it was a blocked call. Did you recognize his voice?
Is there anybody new in your father's life?
you catch somebody's crazy?
Ordinary by others in that person's culture or subculture or family.
Your dad.
It was one of many considerations.
To help you leave home behind,
What makes you say that?
you would honor every part of them. It was to make.
Where did he make this putty?
I can show you tomorrow.
Abigail, there's someone here.
He said he was somebody's brother.
See you later.
You never seen him before?
No.
We should report this, yes?
Yes. Except you.
He made everything by himself.
It's very likely.
Before he cut my throat, he told me he killed those girls so he wouldn't have to kill me.
You're not we don't know that.
Lungs while she was alive.
The young woman on the staircase.
Cassie Boyle had a brother, Nicholas Boyle.
I know. Gary Jacob Hobbs would have honored every part of it.
There's foreign tissue and what could be. Why would the copycat do it?
I think he was provoked. Murdered this girl and his own sister.
Dr. Bloom says that Abigail.
Agent Crawford.
He knew exactly how to mount the body. Wound patterns are almost identical to Cassie Boyle. Same design, the same.
But she could be the target of one.
Come back! Stay here. Stay
Abigail,
You're on the wrong side of the police line.
like long before you got involved. You need me now more than ever.
I want to talk to her.
No, you don't.
You're not the only one lurking about the Hobbs house, peeking in windows.
Ginger hair, unwashed. Abigail, show me what happened. This isn't self-defense, Abigail. You butchered him. Then they'll see you as an accessory to the crimes of your father. I can help you, if you ask me to. You can tell them you were defending yourself when you gutted this man. And we can hide the body. Hello, Abigail. You climbed over the wall. Come down from there.
I don't want to go to sleep.
Can't block them, can't repress.
I didn't honor any part of him, so it's just murder.
What would be the alternative? That he killed you?
I didn't know if he was going to.
No, you don't.
What did you say to him?
A simple conversation. Then why not tell the truth? I'm nothing like your dad. I'll keep your secret. No more climbing walls, Abigail.
At night, I leave the lights on in my little house.
You stood in the breathing silence of Garrett Jacob Hobbs' home. Tell me, Will, Did they speak to you? You could sense his madness, like a bloodhound. How did you feel seeing Marisha Shaw impaled in his outlet room? Because you couldn't save her.
Was the eating, or
even after he was dead, like you were becoming him. Do you have an appointment? Interesting day with Abigail?
Yeah, but
She?
professional neutrality be
Perhaps it's time Abigail's released from clinical treatment.
released.
She should be out in the world, finding her footing, giving her the confidence to move forward.
He's like, where's she
I'm
gonna
not
live?
suggesting abandonment.
And you stepping in as a surrogate would only be a crutch. The confidence to move forward.
I defer to the passion of my esteemed colleague. Gets blood pumping. Tell me about your mother.
Some late.
I suspect that fruit is on a high branch. Very difficult to reach. An interesting place to start. Both my parents died when I was very young. The proverbial orphan until I was adopted by my uncle Robert. I think we'll discover you and I have a great deal in common with Abigail. She's already demonstrated an aptitude for the psychological.
strays? And thank you for feeding them while I was away.
I was referring to Abigail. Tell me about the Turner family. Were they affluent, well-to-do? Always the new boy at school, always the stranger. What grudge was Mrs. Turner's killer harboring against her? Not motherhood, a perversion of it. You promised to deliver your wife to my dinner table. Rabbit. Yes, he should have. But fortunately for us, he did not. We don't know what nightmares lie coiled beneath Will's pillow. You still suspect Abigail Hobbs and her father's crimes. Children transport us to our childhoods. Will may feel the tug of life before the FBI, before you. With Dad, that life is an anchor streamed behind him in heavy weather. He needs an anchor jack. Good evening, Will. Has Christmas come early or late? Was.
Thought better of it. I wasn't thinking straight. I was upset when I bought it. Maybe still am.
Teaching her how to fish. Her father taught her how to hunt.
That's why.
Feeling paternal, Will. Yes. Friend out the blue has advised against taking too personal an interest. Tell me, why are you so angry? Family.
We call them the lot.
And perhaps it's our responsibility, yours and mine, to help her find her way. I've made arrangements. You could say I'm one of your guardians. My home. I thought you might enjoy if I cooked for you. I'll have you back before bedtime.
Can I spend the night?
You have to sleep in your own bed.
This isn't my bed.
tell me about how you left him? You don't have that luxury, Abigail. Only have to lie about one thing. And when you're with me, you don't have to lie about anything.
Knowing what I did.
And when you're awake, it makes you a survivor. Have you thought about applying for schools? Perhaps that can wait then. I would certainly feel safer if you were in the FBI, protecting my interest. Only if they believe that's in your nature, too. You're not your father's daughter. Not anymore. What if it weren't so painful anymore to think of him? Yes. Have you ever tried psilocybin? Yes. There are those psychiatrists who believe that altered states could be used to access traumatic memories.
I have all the access to traumatic memories I need.
No more bad dreams, Abigail. I want you to do this drug with my supervision, where it's safe. Do you trust me? Not at all. We often have a difference of opinion. Any secrets? Spiritual experience of patience. I want to give you your power back. That feeling will pass through you. Let me be your guide. In Spain, called Mouron claimed he invented it in the 19th century. Taste is not only biochemical. I know. It's also the first meal you're having with me.
As someone who makes such a big deal about common courtesy, that you would take my patient, out of the hospital without my permission.
I'm sorry. You have every right to be upset with me. She's in the dining room. You were right. She wasn't ready to leave the hospital. She experienced a bit of anxiety, so I gave her a sedative. I only gave her half a Valium, but she may be a little hazy.
Hello, Abigail. You were expecting me?
Please.
I could eat.
What is it? Assume you're not sleepwalking now. Office hours are for patients. My kitchen is always open to friends. Onset of sleepwalking in adulthood is, I'd argue, good old-fashioned post-traumatic stress. Jack Crawford has gotten your hands very dirty. Manipulated would be the word I'd choose. In the mouth lies the truth of psychological trauma. Your experience may have overwhelmed ordinary functions that give you a sense of control.
If my body is walking around without my permission.
Wouldn't you? Sleepwalkers demonstrate a difficulty handling aggression. Now you experience. You entered into a devil's bargain with Jack Crawford. It takes a toll. When it comes to how far he's willing, he's certainly no saint. A masterpiece foie gras au tourte with dried and fresh figs.
Wonderful.
Introduced you as Bella. Are you an Isabel or an Annabelle? So, named Bella for your beauty.
With warm figs.
Yes. Too rich. Kind of sociopathic behavior. Cruelty to animals. I have no taste for animal cruelty, which is why I employ an ethical butcher. I'm afraid I insist on it. No need for unnecessary suffering.
A gift that keeps on giving.
Your perfume is exquisite. I first noticed my keen sense of smell when I was a young man. I was aware one of my teachers had stomach cancer even before he was.
Wow.
For our next course, it was an especially supercilious pick. Please come in. How often do you see him? You're satisfied then? Your intention is not to tell Jack?
He already has too much to worry about.
He has room for one more worry. It's unorthodox, but not unheard of. Given the nature of your problem, seeing someone who knows Jack removes nothing undignified about this.
Not yet.
The only indignity I see is resentment. But that's your choice, not his. I would recommend another psychiatrist for couples. I wouldn't want you to have the home couch advantage. There is no one and only spiritual center of the brain. But humor can definitely affect brain function. To be driving your angel maker to create heaven on earth. You said he was afraid. Ever feel abandoned, Well? What were your expectations of Jack Crawford? Not in any discernible way, perhaps in the way gods abandon their creations. Jack gave you his word he would protect your headspace. Yet he leaves you to your mental devices. I'm trying to help you to understand this angel maker. You're schizophrenic. You might be able to influence him to become... Might even get him to hurt himself, if he has, unless he's careful about being self-destructive. Who prays over us when we sleep? Has Jack begun to suspect? He's a behavioral specialist, you must know. I doubt he believes you're unfaithful. It's clear you love your husband, not you. Still, you seem more betrayed by Jack than by your own body. Sure there is. What it grows and where it's growing it will likely kill you. But you hold Jack accountable for his inability to cure cancer. Should I have said his inability to save you? You will feel fine. Up until the precise moment you don't. So, you withdraw from the man who strolled along the quays of Livorno, Italy, and called you Bella. Your dreams were the one place you could be physically safe. Relinquishing control, not anymore.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Have you determined how this angel maker is choosing his...
He thinks he can.
So God has given this person insight into the souls of man. You want to feel such sweet and easy peace. The angel maker wants that same peace and find it's endless all around him. You accept the impossibility of such a feeling, whereas the angel maker is still chasing it. Look for it again.
I've tried to reconstruct his thinking, find his patterns.
Instead, you find yourself in a behavior pattern you can't break.
Did you just smell me?
Difficult to avoid. Change the aftershave.
May we use your waiting room?
You can have the office, please.
Thank you.
Just...
Jack.
I'm sorry. I was just, Yeah, that's why I was in the neighborhood. She tells me when she's not.
You expect me to tell you more?
About her cancer, about her dying. She doesn't want to talk to me about it.
I'm prohibited from talking about it, doctor-patient confidentiality conversations.
What do you consider this?
Desperate coping. You have every right to know what's happening, but not from me.
Well, I'm not just going to stand outside my marriage and watch this happen.
I'll offer one insight. She doesn't think she married the wrong guy.
But you understand, I can't stop.
You're dreading the loss of your wife. What other losses are you dreading?
He's eluded the FBI for years and has baffled their most gifted profilers. That serial killer? None other than the Chesapeake Ripper. In 2 years.
Inspired by Auguste Escoffier, we are having longue d'agneau en pâte, served with a sauce of duxelles and oyster mushrooms. Picked myself. It was a particularly chatty lamb.
It smells delicious. Three possibilities. Thinks he is.
We discussed the Chesapeake Ripper's crimes with Dr. Gideon before he murdered the night nurse.
Is it possible you inadvertently planted the...
But reasonable in certain circumstances. It may have been useful trying to remind Gideon he's the Chesapeake Ripper. But he seems to have come to that awareness all by himself.
Dr. Bloom.
Would you care to assist me with dessert? Some grapes. Same color inside as outside. And the flesh is also purple. Were I in your position, I would have attempted psychic driving. Perhaps you already have. I'm much more forgiving of the unorthodox than Dr. Bloom. Shall we? What would be the benefit of making you believe your trainee was alive? It can sometimes be brave to allow yourself hope. Don't give up hope for your wife. Not yet. Take control. I'm sorry about your wife, Jack. There's a better place with her in it. And I'm sorry about your trainee. Talk to me about her. What was her name?
My name is Miriam Lass. I'm with the FBI.
Never just a trainee. An agent in training. Please, come in.
Not necessarily one of yours, but someone you may have come into contact with when you were practicing physician.
I haven't practiced medicine for some time, but perhaps not so good a memory after all. I don't recall a patient with that name.
The Chesapeake Ripper.
That's why he sounds familiar. It was all over the news.
A tree blind 5 years ago while bow hunting. Stuck an arrow through his...
I was.
Your name was on the admissions log.
Let me think. If it's the gentleman I'm thinking of, I vaguely remember a fellow hunter bringing him in, but I recall very little else. I did keep detailed journals during those days. Maybe you'll find something helpful.
Fine.
Not at all. If you wait here, I'll be right back. Come over and I will cook for you.
He used to throw sick parties.
And I will again, once inspiration strikes. I cannot force a feast. A feast must present itself.
It's a dinner party.
You put the life in your belly and you live. Hello. Good evening. There should remain some mystery to my life outside the opera. Did you enjoy the performance?
Didn't you than what was happening on stage?
Oh, don't say too much. You must leave something for us to discuss next week. Franklin, good to see you. Who's hungry? Good morning. Please come in. Would you like to discuss our chance encounter? fact, I do. I was aware of that.
I knew.
It would be unethical to approach a patient or acknowledge in any way our relationship outside this room. I'm your psychiatrist.
Friend.
Of course you do. I have intimate knowledge of you. I am a source of stability and clarity, Franklin. I'm not your friend. In this Michael Jackson fantasy, how is your friendship returned? What would be the point otherwise?
Well,
I'm honest.
I have conversations with a version of you.
Version of me?
Naturally,
Do you refer to me as person suit with your psychiatrist friends?
for my retirement.
A patient who wears a person suit. I have friends. You and I are friendly.
At the end of your hour.
Why do you bother? I think something pink, don't you? Please come in. She was drinking with a patient. I have an unconventional psychiatrist.
Well, we have that in common.
Am I your psychiatrist, or are we simply having conversations? Then having a glass of wine before seeing a patient, especially for evening appointments, since I chose to be a psychiatrist. Chesapeake River has struck her.
Oh, what, now he has a friend?
Any variations? The victims were all brutalized. What? Valuable organs. Jack's looking for a serial killer he can't seem to catch. It's a brilliant diversion. Please do.
A disease is an infection. An infection isn't always a disease.
That is true.
You lie.
May I ask for your business card, please? Do you need a hand? I've been unspeakably rude. I haven't offered you a drink. A compromise? Beer brewed in a wine barrel.
Barrel.
I love your palate.
I love your beer.
I will only answer that yes or no. This is your reserve. I'm curious about something. Are you purposely avoiding the subject of Will Graham? Not on my account, I hope. Did Jack ask you to profile the Ripper? Crawford's trainee. Very sad. You realize those candidates thought we were having an affair? Why didn't we? Have affairs? Or we just have you in common? I recall even before I met Will, you never spoke about him.
To leave him alone. Jack's upset.
And I sincerely hope he does. Good morning.
For cheese, I didn't say hello because you were so uncomfortable the last time that I did.
This city is very small.
Jose's has the best selection of artisanal cheeses.
Divination by cheese.
It was my gateway to cheeses. It's like a magic 8-ball.
Do you decide to buy us sexually? You care deeply about Tobias. You often worry about being alone. It can. I have a 24-hour cancellation policy. Nearly 9 o'clock.
I'm sorry.
No apology necessary. Your eyes were open.
I need to stop sleeping altogether. Best way to avoid bad dreams.
Sum up the Ripper in so many words.
Choose them wisely.
Oh, I always do. Displaying one's enemy after death has its appeal in many cultures. The reward for their cruelty.
Dignified behavior. These dissections are to disgrace them. It's a public shaming. In some way. It's Jack Crawford's trainee. He's not like the other victims. The Ripper had no reason to humiliate Miriam Lass.
Was humiliating someone. Did it work?
We have a lead.
How could I refuse?
Who signed her in for repairs?
Devin Silvestri is one of our part-time drivers.
Does he want to be a doctor?
He's taking the MCATs.
Yeah.
If the ambulance radio...
Good. This is very educational.
Lecter!
He was removing his kidney. Poorly. I've got it. Who carries sow's blood? Centrifugate, separate the matter from the water, creates a transparent liquid. Serve with tomatoes in suspension and everybody will love the sweet. But before you go, what? Been a long time since I used a scalpel on anything but a pencil. I killed someone. Or, more accurately, transferred my passion for anatomy into the culinary arts. I fixed minds instead of bodies, and no one's died as a result of my therapy. Oh, is that Ripper's?
Devon's.
Jack must be devastated.
I imagine he is.
Thank you. Before we begin, you must all be warned. Nothing here is vegetarian. Good morning.
I have a lot of respect for you, since I was imagining what your diagnosis might be.
So you become a psychoanalyst? Who are you psychoanalyzing?
I Googled psychopaths, went down the checklist, and I was a little...
Psychopaths are not crazy. They're fully aware of what they do and the consequences of those actions.
Or, are you supposed to diagnose other people?
Not at all. This is your hour, Franklin. We will talk about whatever you would like to talk about. A friend, I'm analyzing your perception of him. May help you know yourself better, projecting onto him what you consider to be your flaws. You're not a psychopath, although you may be attracted to them. His obsession with me is interfering with his program. I'm considering referring him to another doctor.
Referrals, chemist. You refused.
I'm more tenacious than Franklin. I feel protective of you. You support me. I want to be supportive of you after what happened. I hesitated to even bring up the subject of an obsessive patient because of your traumatic.
It was a performance.
Every life is a piece of music. Like music, we have finite events, unique arrangements. He's a poet and a psychopath.
And a craftsman. He was
turning iron wire into musical steel string. Was there olive oil? The sound he was trying to produce, it was an authentic one. Oil hasn't been used in the production of catgut for over a century. What do you see behind closed eyes? You said the killer was performing.
Patron of the arts, fellow musician, or...
It's a serenade. And you believe he risked getting caught for a serenade?
You remember when...
Note of it.
Well, he said that he wanted to cut someone's throat and play it like a violin.
So you think Tobias killed that man at the symphony?
If I do I have to report it?
Do you have a reason not to? What if you're right?
I don't know.
What do you think?
You're Franklin's therapist, Dr. Lecter. Nice to see you again.
Is it Tobias?
Yes.
Your strings are all gut. Harps strung with gut. Still make music after 2,000 years. Was it an original composition?
It's something I've been writing.
Can't impose traditional composition on an instrument that's inherently freeform. A theremin. Even those between conventional notes.
And so can a violin.
Seems we're both comfortable playing between conventional notes. Just looking for a new trombonist.
Altogether horrible what happened.
Thinking the orchestra will be better. My harpsichord needs new strings. It's making an awful noise. From Linden.
Virginia. I thought it was French.
The Virginian wine revolution is upon us. Did you kill that trombonist? No. Just changing the subject. They're going to find you.
Let them.
You want to get caught?
I want them to try. Then I would disappear.
Don't kill Franklin.
I've been looking forward to it.
I'm lean. Lean animals yield the toughest gut. Or have you stopped?
To a lonely road. To a bus yard.
You're reckless, Tobias.
So my recklessness doesn't concern you?
It concerns me because you won't be drawing attention just to yourself.
I could use a friend the way I do.
I know exactly how you feel. But I don't want to be a friend.
It wasn't just to restring your harpsichord.
I was going to kill you, as I wouldn't do that to the food. No. Well, come in.
You have a guest?
An urgent call of some sort. Had to leave suddenly, because I have to search for truth. Tell me. And you would be center for it. Kissed him. And felt compelled to drive an hour in the snow to tell me about it. You waited a long time, which suggests you were kissing her for a reason, in addition to wanting to.
Broke through the wall to get it out. Lana showed.
What did you know, Will? That's why you kissed her. A clutch for balance. Are you still hearing this killer's serenade? A patient told me today he suspects a friend of his may be involved with the murder at the Symphony. A music store in Baltimore. Special. Perhaps you should interview him. For the first time in a long while, I see a possibility of friendship. I met a man, much like myself, same hobbies, same worldviews, and that got me curious about friendship. Oddly enough, a colleague and a patient, not unlike how I'm a colleague and a patient of yours. We've discussed him before. We see the world in different ways, yet he can assume my point of view. As good a demonstration as any.
Or has the ability to see us. It requires trust.
You've helped me to better understand what I want in a friendship, and what I don't. Yes.
You spend a...
9 times.
But I think you should see another doctor. I'm also part of the problem. Too much on your therapist, and not enough on your therapy.
What do you mean, goodbye?
The police came to question me about the murder.
Give yourself up right now.
I want you to leave now.
Stay. This right here happened in our relationship that you and I can't.
I saved you the trouble. Heard you were dead.
Tobias budged, and after all of that, his first stop.
He came to kill my patient. I don't know. Franklin knew much that he didn't have to kill anymore. And then he broke Franklin's neck, and then he attacked me. I thought this was a simple matter of poor choice and friends. But I appreciate the company. It's strange, thinking about going back to daily practice. Patients will sit where Franklin died. I will sit where I almost died, and I will offer therapy. Will you ever feel comfortable returning to psychiatric work? Help feeling responsible for what happened to Franklin.
No one else can take on that responsibility.
Did you take responsibility when you were attacked by your patient? No, should you?
I don't know how I got here.
Your car is outside. Grafton, West Virginia is 3.5 hours from here. It's a desperate survival mechanism for a psyche that endures repeated disorder. What you feel is overwhelming you.
I know.
Well, Jack Crawford gave you a chance to quit, and you didn't take it. Why? I'm your friend, Will. I don't care about the lives you save. I care about your life. And your life is separating from reality. Stop looking in the wrong corner for an answer to that. Scene when you disassociated, tell me about it. In some cultures, crimes and guilt are made manifest so that everyone can see them and see their shame.
No, this isn't shame.
When faced with this killer's achievements, your mind needed to escape, and you lost time. I'm worried about you, Will. What if you lose time and hurt yourself? Or someone else? I don't want you to wake up and see a totem of your own making.
I'm trying to be understated when I say that this is a bad idea.
Freddy Lowndes is dangerous.
Look.
You would be forfeiting your privacy and ours.
You are...
Abigail. You're a traumatic event. No one more traumatized than you, Abigail, but what you write about all of us.
I don't need your permission.
And you don't need our approval. But I hope it would mean something.
That they're wrong.
You have nothing to apologize for.
Yet. But if you open this door, Abigail...
His body was found in the woods. He was frozen. 6 weeks ago or the night that he disappeared.
How did he die?
Knife wound, he was gutted. Hobbs, to identify it for us.
You already have a positive ID.
Yeah, Hannibal?
Jack has the look of a man with no interest in any opinion but his own.
You're putting Abigail in the room with the body. I want to be there.
Sorry, Will.
Perhaps she's stronger than we think. It can be a comfort to see the broken, bloated corpse of a monster. I know it can never come back. Were you? Is that why you uncovered his body? Would this be a chapter in your book, Abigail? There's always an addendum. With Jack Crawford's attention.
You're right. I opened the door. I can't control what comes through it, but this time...
You betrayed my trust. You jeopardized my life as well as your own. I deserve more than that. What if I can't? Yes, I know. I helped her dispose of the body. Have you told Jack Crawford? Why not? Well, now you know the truth. Nicholas Boyle attacked us. Abigail's only crime was to defend herself, and I lied about it. You know why? Because Jack Crawford would... Abigail is no more a killer than you are for shooting her father, or I am for the death of Tobias Boyle. Who knows Abigail better than you and I? We are her fathers now. We have to serve her better than Garrett Jacob Hobbs. If you go to Jack, then you murder Abigail. Do I need to call my lawyer, Will? In time, this will be the only story any of us cares to tell. I feel terrible, Miss Lowndes. Never entered my head you might be a vegetarian.
Such a gray area.
Insane isn't really... Everyone decides their own versions of the truth.
We care about Abigail. Our only thought is to protect her.
Been taken as guilt. This...
Well, we all want what's best for Abigail.
Finest salad I've ever eaten in my life.
One you cannot admit. Even to yourself. I know what monsters are. You're a victim.
Clicking, like roller coaster cogs.
Quick sounds quickly ended. You're grieving, Will. Not for the life you have taken, but for the life that was taken from you. The behind so good of you. you could untangle yourself from the madness and the murder. We both know the unreality of taking a life. No, in those moments, they're not flesh, but light and air and color. Do you feel alive, Will? Have you experienced any further loss of time or hallucinations? To draw a clock face. Numbered. Small hand indicating the hour, large hand the minute. An exercise. I want you to focus on the present moment, the now. Often as you can, think of where you are and when. A simple reminder. A handle to reality for you to hold on to. I know you're alive.
Coppery smell of blood on my hands. I can't remember seeing...
Those memories sank out of sight, yet you're aware of their absence.
I imagined that feel...
What do you know to be true? You must overcome these delusions that are disguising your reality. What kind of savage delusions does this killer have?
I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror.
You have to honestly confront your limitations with what you do and how it affects you.
If by limitations...
What do you accept?
I could be seizures?
I can recommend a neurologist. But if it isn't physiological, then you have to...
Cleanest man I know.
I would agree. Dr. Sutcliffe and I were residents together at Hopkins.
Another life ago.
I was always drawn to how the mind works. I found it much more dynamic than how the brain works.
The projected image is more interesting than the projector until in earnest.
Field, which is when I met him.
I can't really say when they started.
That's your pre-diagnosis?
Yes.
Based on?
I could smell it.
To diagnosing autoimmune disease.
He started sleepwalking and I noticed a very specific scent. It has heat, a fevered sweetness.
Something.
Had to be sure. I asked him to draw a clock. This is what he drew.
It's all the telltale signs.
It is so rare to be able to study the psychological effect of this type of malady on a person's mind. Even in these terms, we know so little about the brain. There are great discoveries to be made.
It's anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis. The symptoms are only going to get worse.
I know. It's unfortunate for Will. Opportunity. Walked into his classroom that you were putting Will in a potentially destructive environment. He also caught that killer's disease. He can't stop thinking about what it is to take a life. Will is an innocent.
He'll survive.
Not always. So far. Neurologist today. They found nothing wrong with him. He was very upset by that. I think he wanted an answer that wasn't mental illness. The problem Will has is too many mirror neurons. Supposed to help us socialize and then melt away. But Will held on to his, which makes knowing who he is a challenge. The very air has screams smeared on it. In those places, he doesn't just reflect.
7:05 p.m.
She's real. You know she's real. There's evidence. When you found her, your sanity did not leave you. You lost time again. I spoke to Dr. Sutcliffe. We briefly discussed the particulars of your visit. Would you like to discuss them with me? Then we keep looking for answers. Perhaps you would permit me to run some... If there were ever anything that might be of therapeutic value to others, I'd abstract it in a form that would be totally unrecognizable. After your death or mine. Believes he or she is dead. Of course.
Of course.
The inability to identify others is associated with cutards. There's a misfiring in the areas of the brain which recognize faces, and also in the... Even those closest to her would seem like imposters.
So?
She can't trust anything or anyone she once knew to be trustworthy. Her mental illness won't let her.
Still love your little rare treats, don't you, Hannibal? More expensive and difficult they are to obtain, the better.
Medical. Only a few thousand are selected each year. Once fattened and slaughtered and air-cured. Really superior to any other pig. Mutation preceding product. A case of psychology overriding neurology.
So we know how...
Are you referring to Will Graham? Will has a remarkably vivid imagination. Beautiful. Pure. Imagination is an interesting accelerant for a fever. Will is my friend. We will put out the fire when it's necessary. Now that we have confirmed what it is, it'll be easier to hide from him. Being treated like a burn victim. In extreme cases like this one, electroconvulsive therapy. I'm more concerned about Will. I am grieving Dr. Sutcliffe, but Will is very much alive. He's still desperate for an explanation that can make everything right again. I sincerely hope for her sake she doesn't remember much. Susceptible to manipulation. Dr. Gideon is a psychopath. Psychopaths and narcissists, they rarely doubt who they are.
Tried. If only I had been more curious.
No interest in understanding sheep. Kudal. A South Indian from sheep, of course. Bathed in a coconut coriander chili sauce. You're not the only psychiatrist accused by a patient of making them kill. Bound to get poked back. Deny everything.
His personality.
Psychic driving fails because its methods, the subject will only surrender temporarily. To the method of manipulation, it becomes much less effective.
I suspect he was being pushed.
He pushed back. The subject mustn't be aware of any influence.
I don't know how to gauge who I am anymore. I feel like I have been gradually becoming different for a while.
What do you feel like? The Chesapeake Ripper to gauge who he is and who he isn't. You have me as your gauge. You're in Baltimore, Maryland, and your name is...
Just tell me.
Who do you see, Will?
Garrett Jacob Hobbs.
I don't see anyone.
You're lying.
You killed him. You watched him die.
What?
Well, you're having an episode. I want you to have...
That doesn't seem to bother you.
I said it was mild. Are you the man who claimed to be the Chesapeake Ripper? Because you're not.
Are you the Ripper?
A terrible thing. To have your identity taken from you.
One piece at a time.
Alana Bloom was one of your psychiatrists, too. Is that right? I can tell you where to find her. Raise both of your arms. More. More. Good. It wasn't a stroke. You may have had a seizure. Tell me the last thing you remember. You have a fever. You were hallucinating. You thought he was alive. Don't let that let you slip away. Find a way to kill him again. Large, he mutilated Dr. Chilton. I'm worried about Alana. No. Well, you're in no state to go in.
They will be sewing up.
His temperature is 105. It's normal, and they still can't identify the source of his infection. You seem confident.
Even with a temperature of 105 degrees, Will was able to bring...
Jack, I would recommend you suspend his license to carry firearms. I know who Will is, but our experiences shape us, Jack. How is this experience going to shape Will? Will Graham is troubled.
And that troubles you? Beyond a professional concern?
You're suggesting I'm more fascinated with the madness than the man.
Are you?
No. Felt things differently.
So did you?
I see myself in Will. Madness can be a medicine for the modern world. Those side effects can be temporary. They can be a boost to our psychological immune systems to help fight the existential crisis of normal life. No, he doesn't.
What does he present you with?
Just watch him lose his mind. Silky chicken in a broth. A black-bone bird, prized in China for its medicinal value since the 7th century. And star anise. Yes.
Support group.
And I hope you're hers. Nothing more isolating than mental illness.
Loss of time, sleepwalking.
Fevers can be symptoms of dementia. That this could be more than a fever, no. I haven't told him. What we must do now is continue to support and monitor your recovery. How's her recovery?
Afraid to remember what she did.
Can't say I blame her. Beyond his involvement in the... You think he's protecting her?
He has been.
I've only ever known Will as a man striving to be his best self. He needs our support, whether or not mental illness is involved. There are days when even Will doesn't understand his own thinking. Jack Crawford was here. And he suspects Will is protecting her.
And evidently, he suspects you are protecting Will.
Are you asking us, my psychiatrist?
Whatever you're doing with Will Graham,
Will needs my help.
you've crossed professional lines.
I'm making a friend. I'm protecting Will from influence. He has flaws in his intuitive beliefs about what makes him who he is. I'm trying to help him understand. I see.
I didn't tell him how or why.
You protect your patient from Jack Crawford, but I can't protect mine.
Even the very best psychiatrist.
You're right, it is. When the pressures of my personal and professional relationships with Will grow too great.
I'm much better now. It had to be the fever.
The murders you're attributing to the copycat have suspects. You're choosing to ignore that?
And to factor that into my psychological profile of a killer copycat.
Why not kill her then and there?
Or maybe he didn't have the time.
So you framed her for the murder. You believe this is personal?
This could be someone at the bureau, someone in the police department, someone who knows.
Someone like you. How do you intend to do that?
By taking Abigail back to Minnesota. When he called Garrett Jacob Hobbs.
Well, this is venturing into the paranoid. I can't allow you to pull Abigail into your delusion.
Sorry to barge in on you, Doctor. Couldn't wait. Well, Hobbs?
Will has been victim of many unusual and irrational thoughts. Not that I'm aware of. Or he's aware of, for that matter. But he has experienced periods of lost time.
I've seen him disoriented.
He may have been confused because he was waking up. He would appear perfectly normal and not remember a thing. But a fractured part of him would. He's only recently started to discuss these episodes.
You failed to mention any of this to me.
Because I was trying to determine if it was trauma and stress from the work he's doing for you or mental illness. I used to be sure before making any kind of claim about Will Graham's sanity.
Perhaps we just don't know how involved. Is it possible that Will knew what Abigail was doing? Is that why he's protecting her?
There's something you should hear.
Guilty. Because you couldn't save her. Because I felt like I killed her.
He was supposed to be in his hotel room. I knocked on his door. He didn't answer. He said he got so close to Garrett Jacob Hobbs and what he had done. Who Hobbs intended to kill. I'm so sorry, Jack. Will told me he was taking you to Minnesota, and I strongly advised against it. So does Jack Crawford.
He can't protect me anymore.
They'll arrest you when they find you, yes. And will. They will believe he did. They will believe he killed her. I wanted to warn your father that Will Graham was coming for him. I was curious what would happen. I was curious what you would do. I was hoping. I wanted to see how much like your father you were. He changed you, Abigail. That's more important than the life he clamored after. Many more than your father. I'm so sorry, Abigail. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you in this life. Show me.
I remember going to bed last night. Maybe I...
When was the last time you saw Abigail?
My feet were muddy.
Well, when was the last time you saw Abigail?
Cabin.
What happened? Why was she afraid?
I know it wasn't real.
Well, we have to go, Jack. It will only be worse. Get rest. Despite the overwhelming evidence, I find myself searching for ways that I know what life means. In that time, 100 billion human lives have had beginnings and ends.
Clearly, Abigail Hobbs's life has, and you seem surprised by that.
I was hoping I was. I think of my earliest memory and project forward to what I imagine will be my death.
A loss, too. You might grieve him as a loss.
I haven't given up on Will.
If they do find...
Let's be honest. I was so confident in my ability to help him. Saving him, I lost Abigail.
He disarmed his guard. He threw the guard and the driver from the vehicle.
The clock he drew for me 2 weeks ago. It's normal. Will has periods of clarity. We've seen him lucid and aware one moment, and then the next he's not. Autoimmune encephalitis.
It's hard to diagnose. Looking for it.
Look, just tell me if he could kill. This doesn't feel like dementia.
I was with Will that entire time. Jacob Hobbs, he was alone in the office while I was outside loading the car with the files, but that was only for a few minutes. We were looking through the files, and it was as if Will plucked his name on little more than an incomplete address. Hello, Will. You frightened Alana Bloom. I'm not confused, I'm skeptical. Meaning I'm willing to change my mind should the evidence change. I believe it's entirely possible, if not nearly indisputable, based on how you discovered her here. But it wasn't just Abigail. No. You know who you are in this moment. That's not always the case, Will.
Is making sure.
If we're to prove you didn't commit these murders, perhaps we should consider how you could have. That identity runs through these events like a thread through pearls. Cassie Ball would have been your first victim. Exploring how he killed to better understand. How do you know? May have wondered why Gary Jacob Hobbs didn't kill her himself. You catch these killers by getting into their heads. But you also allow them into and trying to help you, Will. Think that would help you?
She lost.
They haven't found her body. They may never find her. Perhaps you didn't come here looking for a killer. You killed a man in this very room. At a time when other men fear their isolation, you're alone. Because you are unique. If you followed the urges you kept down for so long, cultivated them, that's the inspiration.
But I am...
Whoever that was killed the others. Are you a killer, Will? Right now, this man standing in front of me. Is this who you really are? What do you see?
Abigail knew.
You said it felt good to kill Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Would it feel good to kill me now? What reason would I have?
You were just... apparently.
They're treating him with antiviral and steroid therapies.
Is he responding?
More or less. To make a substantial recovery. I would have wanted to. I believe I've failed to satisfy my obligation to Will. More than I care to admit. Nor is yours.
You know, in my time,
No one in this room will be the same.
Hello, Hannibal.
Sauce verte. It imparts a unique, smoldering flavor to the meat. And to the room.
This is
Thank you for indulging me. To my dinner table, this is the only way I could cook for you. I'm going to see Will tomorrow. As a farewell. Of sorts. He didn't cost me my life. He cost Abigail hers. Your beer is getting cold. Those who denounce veal often cite the young age at which the animals are killed, when they're in fact older than many pigs going to slaughter. What pattern would that be?
under scrutiny.
Tell me, Dr. Dumoyer, have your beliefs about me begun to unravel? Hello, Will.